Good morning. Welcome to Randy's Corner, and I'm your host, Randy Clark. Welcome to the show this morning. We got a real special show this morning, but first of all, I'd like to show you a couple of loving care yards. This is from the Beautification Council. This is Rodney and Tricia Spakes. What a beautiful yard. Thank you so much for sending in your pictures of your yard. It's a beautiful yard. Next, we got, this is Delise Walters. What a beautiful yard. She really takes care of her yard and works in it real hard. Thank you, Delise, for a beautiful yard. And just a reminder, if you or your next door neighbor or just somebody you see a beautiful yard somewhere and you'd like to put them in for the Love and Care yard, you can contact Tara Douglas at Broadway Spinal Care, or just send in a picture and a little piece of what the yard looks like to the Beautification Council of Silicotta. Okay, now without further ado, I got a special guest with me today. This is our new Nuisance and Abatement Officer. This is Officer Josh Cullman. And I'd like, well, could I say back to Silicotta?
Back to Silicotta.
Well, thank you so much for coming back. Nuisance and Abatement Officer is real important to this city. And Josh, could you tell us a little something about yourself?
Well, I actually grew up in the area. I grew up in Chillsburg and started working at Silicotta Police Department in 2001. In 2007, I relocated down to the Gulf Coast and worked for Gulf Shores PD for 17 years, and I've decided to wrap up my career back up here in Silicotta.
Well, thank you so much for doing it. Family?
Yes, all of our family is up this way, so that was the big draw to come back up here, and I've got a little one that needs some grandparent time.
There you go. Well,
yes,
that's great. We're so glad to have you back.
Thank you, sir.
Now, could you tell us what the duties of a nuisance and abatement officer is?
So the nuisance and abatement officer assignment is specifically focusing on your vacant properties, your yards that are unkept, you know, people that are getting the awards for doing a great job. It's pretty much the reverse of that. So
okay.
You've got yards that have not been maintained. You've got old vehicles that have been sitting for a long time, or you have houses that have caught on fire and not been taken care of since those incidents.
Right, right. You talking about abandoned cars now. Our last nuisance and abatement officer, he was great. We're missing him, but we're glad you're here. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of vacant cars that was on our streets to keep our city from doing their job that he got removed. You're the same.
Correct. Since I've been here, I've already moved 2 vehicles. So it's something that once I hear about the issue, I definitely go out and address it.
Okay. Now, can the public come to you with their complaints, or do they need to go to the Nuisance and Abatement Board or a city councilman?
So the avenues of approaching me are all of those. So you can ultimately call up to the police department and ask for me. They'll transfer you to my line, or and so give me a call. And then, of course, Nuisance and Abatement board members can accept the information and pass it on to me. We have a monthly meeting, and then I have received some information from council members based off their district.
Okay. What are some things you hope to have happen during your service to the Nuisance and Abatement?
So when I walked in, after Officer Meadow retired, there were several cases that sort of piled up while he had left the assignment, and was waiting for me to start the job. So I've got about 68 cases that I've been working through, and I've closed about 10 of those cases so far. So I've just started working on that list, and then, you know, whatever comes in from there, just prioritizing. Right.
So I've already noticed we got some track codes and stuff around the city, mm-hmm. getting things cleaned up. So you're on the job already.
Yes, sir.
Now, what are some conditions a property can be in to be reported to the nuisance and abatement officer?
So a lot of those are the issues that I just mentioned with the tall grass or a property that is known to be vacant, that's not being kept up, and anything where the house is starting to fall in, and that starts to get into the extreme sides of it. But generally it starts with the yard maintenance being the first thing that people notice.
Right, right. Speaking of yard maintenance, I have a pet peeve. I know, I hope this falls under you, but people cutting grass, and I appreciate them cutting grass, don't get me wrong, but slinging the grass out in the road. I don't know if you're aware, but the city has spent thousands and thousands of dollars on getting our drainage systems where they work again.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my pet peeves is slinging grass out the road. What people don't really realize, or maybe they do, I don't know, this grass that you sling out in the road, it doesn't just go away. It stops our drainage systems up. So I'm sure you'll be looking at that among some other things. And one of the other things I try to express, using this show, and I thank Daybreak for letting me do it, putting your debris out in the road. We have our regular pickup, debris pickup. But in between the time you put it out there and we get 2 or 3 rains, a lot of that debris is floating down in our drainage system. So I try to express to people, put it on the edge of the yard. City's gonna come by there and get it up.
Correct.
If you pay a utility bill, they're gonna get your debris up. So I know you're probably gonna hear a lot of complaints about that. It really bothers me when we spend thousands and thousands of dollars of the city's money, something we could be spending on something else, but we got to get our drainage systems. We got to keep those gutters clean. I really don't understand. I'm sure you're going to be on things like this too.
Well, as far as the importance of the drainage, living down on the Gulf Coast for 17 years.
You know all about it.
It is extremely important because of the flooding that it causes, and the drainage is more important than a lot of people realize.
Sure it is. I mean, we already see that here in Silicon. When we get these heavy rains. Now, I'm not saying that we're going to. There's not much you can do about a 7-inch rain in a few hours.
Correct.
But these small rains, if you'll notice, you see a lot of stuff in the streets after we have a little flooding issue. And but anyway, that's just some of the things that I hope you consider. It's not necessarily a fine. Sometimes somebody just needs to be asked, right?
Correct. That's my first approach with anyone that I'm talking to is basically just have a conversation and try to have a game plan.
Okay, now on like you're talking about an abandoned property or something, can you tell us how that process? And I found out that nothing in government goes real fast.
No, it doesn't. So,
could you tell us the process that you have to go through to really get, such as an abandoned vehicle or an abandoned house? And we're not picking on any property owner.
No, not at
unless
all.
you're not keeping your property up.
That's correct.
Then you can call it picking on you if you want to, but when you got complaints coming in that snakes or dogs or cats or something's coming out of this property, you got to do something about it.
Right. So just like I said, verbally, I just start with a conversation with somebody, and I had a property actually last week where I discovered that the property owner was an investment company out of Birmingham. Reached out to the company, and they didn't realize that their landscape crew had not been to that residence. So it was simple as a phone call, and hopefully it's going to be that simple going forward. But if that does not fix the issue, then there are some legal process that is very slow.
Right.
But going through that process is next after
Right.
the conversation.
Well, you know, I've noticed a lot of these properties, like you're talking about, you just mentioned the investment company.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these properties aren't owned by local people. They're owned
Correct.
by. I know a couple of properties we've had. Been somebody in Florida,
Mm-hmm.
been somebody in Anniston. Well, they might not ever even see this property, right?
Correct. So just tracking down the responsible party is part of my job at this point. So that does take some time, and then from there I can move forward once I get a hold of somebody.
Okay. Could you tell us some of the other things that the nuisance and abatement officer might encounter?
So that really covers it, honestly, when it comes down to the properties and the cars. You know, that's what I've been hearing mostly, but that's my focus on this assignment.
Okay. You talked about the police department.
Mm-hmm.
Before our nuisance and abatement board fell under the code department, now it falls under the
Police department.
right. So any monies that we might have will go through the police department getting finished.
Correct. Yes, sir.
And I guess you've already encountered how much it costs to get anything done anymore.
It's very expensive.
Could you talk about asbestos for a minute? I know that's really super expensive.
So I'm working on a property right now that asbestos was found, and that process is very extensive, but due to the health concerns and everything related to it, we're going to do it the right way, and so we are going to be contracting a nuisance or a asbestos contractor to remove those items, so we don't have any issues with federal guidelines.
Okay. I guess that about wraps it up, don't it?
Mm-hmm. It does.
I sure want to welcome you back to Sylacauga.
Thank you.
So far, you've done a great job, and I'm sure you're going to continue to. So, if anybody needs to get in touch with Officer Josh Cullman, could you tell them how?
Call the police department, ask for me, and they'll transfer you to my line, and we'll go from there.
This is on a non-emergency line.
Non-emergency.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like to make a couple points before we close here?
So after 17 years down south, when it comes down to moving, I don't really know anyone that loves to move.
Right.
But I definitely want to give a shout out to my parents, Linda and David Cullman, and my mother-in-law, Weta Stewart, and Mama Elsie Stewart. They've been extremely supportive in helping us get relocated back up to Sylacauga.
Well, we're so glad to have you back, and about ready to tell, just looking around town, you're already on the job.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Right. So, thank you for coming back to Sylacauga.
Thank you.
And if there's anything any of us, any citizens can do to help you out, just let us know.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now, don't forget about pickleball tonight out here at the Sylacauga tennis courts from 5 to 8. Kids Zone is from 6 to 7. We've been packed every week. So, you say you don't have anything for the kids to do? Bring them out there to pickleball tonight. And we not only teach them how to play pickleball, but we got a great bunch of volunteers out there that just loves to help people. So until then, thank you, Officer Cullman.
Thank you, sir.
Look forward to seeing your progress. And remember that Loving Care Yard Award, contact Tara Douglas at Broadway Spinal Care or any member of the Sylacauga Beautification Council. And that's a wrap for me. Stay tuned for more Daybreak, and we'll see you next week.